What do you think is crazy?
Trying to do the same old thing and thinking it won't just keep falling apart. Hi, I'm Patri Friedman, and I'm a heretic because I think we should be able to start new countries as easily as we start companies today.
Radicals, dissidents, rebels, and misfits. You can call them whatever you like. But what if they're right?
I think some people have strong reactions to the idea that groups of people should be able to go out and start new cities and new countries with different laws, because there's a sense in which it threatens, at least philosophically, the entire system. When people start to think about government changing more often, being more flexible, they imagine it coming to their own country, and government change is associated with chaos and bloodshed, for good reason. Somehow in our minds, people tend to think about government not as a business, but government is a product and it has a price. And if you look at what we pay and what we get, it's terrible. Think about the quality of service, say, from Apple versus the DMV. How wildly different the speed of evolution of consumer products is compared to governance. We get new cell phones every few years, but we're still using a constitution from 250 years ago. I mean, if you drove a car from 250 years ago, it would be a horse. I think people's mental design space is minuscule compared to the number of possible governments. We know about monarchy and fascism and totalitarianism and communism and constitutional democracy, and people they don't even think that the space of possible coordinating mechanisms and institutions is so much bigger than that. I have this metaphor that the way that laws are today, it's sort of as if in every country they wrote their own operating system that all their computers ran on. There was no Windows, there was no Mac OS, there was no Linux. And what we're saying is, shouldn't countries get the option to choose, oh, let me take the best of what exists instead of having to write it from scratch, and then I can customize it and modify it to work for my particular country. But just as we see in tech startups, the really breakthrough stuff that's much, much better has to get done by small groups trying out really new experimental things that will probably fail. And without the right to exit and build your own government, we don't get those experiments.
One of the things you were saying earlier is that our consumer devices change so rapidly, our governance doesn't. In a way, isn't that a safety mechanism?
Yeah, I totally agree that there's a safety in having governance change more slowly. We wouldn't want our laws or the structure of our police forces to change, in 3-month software updates. But that doesn't mean that the current speed is right. So I spent 10 years at Google, and the way that you make it safe to roll out software that 1 billion people use is first you muck around with it on your own, and then you get 1,000 people to test it, and then eventually you put it out to 1 in 10,000 Google users or something, and you find the problems and you fix them and you scale it up, and eventually you're at 100%. I'm not saying that we should be frequently and massively rewriting the rules, and I'm definitely not saying we should rewrite the rules for people who don't want it. What I am saying is, if there's certain zones that say, hey, here we're going to try a rewrite, only with the people who want it. We get a startup sector, and we're learning, we're seeing what works and what doesn't work, while most people are living in the stable release, right? Most people are using the Apple product, not the brand new bleeding edge startup. So that's kind of the world I imagine. My name is Patri, which means father in Latin, and I've got 3 children, so I'm a father that way. In essence, my work is trying to father or enable the fathering of many new countries. So I'm just a father trying to help people father fatherlands.